Sony finally has announced that the PlayStation Showcase event will be taking place on Thursday, September 9th. Specifically, it will be happening at 1 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, with fans knowing exactly when they can sit down to watch some updates on all things PlayStation. Several details have been released regarding what this major event will entail, and many of them should prove promising for those that had been expecting more from the past few State of Play events. PlayStation Showcase 2021 will be an impressive 40 minutes long, and it sounds as if that window of time will be packed with announcements and trailers. Developer interviews will be taking place after the main show, making it unlikely for too much time to be spent on any single game. On top of this, PlayStation Studios is mentioned in both the tweet announcing the event and the PlayStation blog post that is attached. As such, major updates on PS4 and PS5 exclusives are guaranteed to happen at the showcase. While Horizon Forbidden West was officially delayed, it will still likely have a strong showing during the event. After all, it will likely be the next big PlayStation Studios game to release, so it makes sense for Sony to go all in on marketing the game and making its February release date known. Gran Turismo 7 is another game that will likely have a trailer, with a date that gets more specific than 2022 being a possibility. PlayStation Showcase 2021 also seems like the perfect time to give us a proper look at the next God of War game. Ragnarok is coming, baby! With a proper reveal for The Last of Us 2's faction spin-off possible, as well as a teaser for Ben Studios' new IP, the September 9th showcase has plenty of potential. As with past events, though, Sony is keeping expectations in check. The much-discussed PSVR 2 will not be shown, with PlayStation's next generation of VR not making an appearance at the show. Instead, the focus is being kept on PlayStation Studios and industry-leading devs. While this will disappoint some, it does free up time in the event for more games to be shown. After months of bizarre Twitter posts and strange marketing choices, many gamers are convinced that Abandoned is all a ruse, a misdirection meant to disguise something bigger. Some gamers have come to the conclusion that this is all the work of the best prankster in gaming, Hideo Kojima. The many thematic and visual elements of Abandoned have led some to believe it's actually a new Silent Hill or Metal Gear Solid. Whatever the project may be, Sony has promoted it on its official YouTube channel, and the game has its own ambitious PS5 app, so a presence at the showcase wouldn't be completely out of the ordinary. Sony knows this, and will likely spare a few minutes for content outside of its first-party portfolio. This can range from third-party titles like Call of Duty Vanguard, games from companies like Square Enix including Final Fantasy XVI and Forspoken, and the exclusive Spider-Man content for Marvel's Avengers and Pragmata or Resident Evil 4 Remake from Capcom, or even some promising indie games. This can help the presentation branch out to fans of all genres, and make the PS5 appealing to players of all kinds. Though we'll definitely show the next-gen GTA 5 version, as they are so close with Take-Two. The showcase is 40 minutes, and every game in that should be greatness. We definitely need to see God of War, and also some updates on other games like Little Devil Inside, Kena Bridge of Spirits and more. Last but not least are the special surprises that make these larger gaming events so exciting to begin with. The increasingly common one more thing moments leave a lasting impression and tease what's to come in the future, and one could easily be seen at this showcase. This can of course be literally anything, as it is anyone's guess what out-of-left-field announcement may be made by Sony during the show. A sequel to Death Stranding was teased by Norman Reedus recently, while there are also rumors that a follow-up to Marvel's Spider-Man is in active development. Games already released such as Returnal could possibly receive a DLC expansion similar to Ghost of Tsushima's Iki Island content. Though there is the possibility that there are no surprises at all, it's worth keeping in mind that a shocking show closer is possible. Given that the PlayStation blog post mentions how long fans have been waiting for news on the future of the PS5, Sony clearly knows how high expectations are. While the PlayStation Showcase title certainly implies something grand, the confirmation that PlayStation Studios projects will take center stage confirms that this is a must-watch livestream. My hype level is through the roof for this one. They could end the show with the Bluepoint Games acquisition, alongside with a Metal Gear Solid Remake announcement, or Marvel's Spider-Man 2 could be teased, which will blow away the fans. Speaking of gaming events, this year's next big gaming showcase, Tokyo Game Show Online 2021, just got closer, with the Seiza revealing the event's game-packed schedule. The Computer Entertainment Suppliers Association, Seiza, and Nikkei Business Publications have just revealed the schedule of the event, giving players an idea of what studios and games will be in attendance. Back in March, the Seiza first announced the dates for TGS Online 2021, running from September 30th to October 3rd. This is a special year for TGS, as the event is celebrating its 25th anniversary, starting way back in 1996. Keeping to custom, TGS has been held yearly in September at Makuhari Mess, but with the COVID-19 pandemic, Tokyo Game Show 2020 was the first fully digital outing in the event's history. For TGS Online 2021, the Seiza appears to be taking what it learned from last year's event, while also reconnecting with its more usual appearance. The Seiza has finally released the official program for TGS Online 2021, and it packed to the brim with shows for fans to tune in for. Several high-profile studios will be in attendance, including Xbox, Konami, and Capcom on September 30th, with Square Enix and Bandai Namco on October 1st. On the final day of the showcase, October 3rd, Arc System Works, Ubisoft, and Genshin Impact will have presentations. In between the developer conferences are other activities like the Japan Game Awards. Despite the knowledge of which studios will be attending, and excluding the games which have their own dedicated shows Genshin Impact, there is limited information on what games will actually be at TGS Online 2021. While studios like Square Enix provide a description of its show, noting that it will cover its previously announced games in addition to some new reveals, many of the other exhibitors have pending descriptions, undecided blurbs, or are still entirely blank. As TGS grows closer, these companies will likely start speaking more about its plans for the show, and even what games may be there. There are some sizable absent companies from those attending TGS Online 2021, namely Sony, PlayStation, and Nintendo. The last time the former company was at TGS was in 2019, but even then, it did not have a formal presentation, but just a variety of its games playable on the show floor with limited showcases. More recently, Nintendo appeared at last year's digital TGS event with an extended presentation about Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity, but like Sony, are nowhere to be found in this year's schedule. But we got the PlayStation Showcase too. Witness greatness, and it looks like Nintendo is also hosting a direct for September. We also have another event update. To celebrate its 10th anniversary, THQ Nordic has announced a showcase event that will update fans on current games as well as reveal some new ones. THQ Nordic is one of gaming's most recognizable developers, with a history steeped in iconic games. Somehow, it has already been 10 years since its formation, and to celebrate, THQ Nordic is hosting a digital showcase that will reveal just what the studio is currently up to. After the original THQ went under, a studio by the name of Nordic Games acquired the THQ name, and officially became the THQ Nordic of today. Now a publisher, within the THQ Nordic name are multiple other teams like Purple Lamp Studios, who developed SpongeBob SquarePants, Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, and Bugbear Entertainment, the developers of Wreckfest. Most recently, THQ Nordic launched the successful Biomutant this past spring, developed by Experiment 101. From reviving IPs to creating new ones, THQ Nordic has a rare spot in the gaming community, being directly linked to so many nostalgic franchises while also having the freedom to publish new series. In a new press statement, THQ Nordic announced a digital showcase in celebration of its 10th anniversary. With the announcement is an anniversary trailer, highlighting THQ Nordic's history and teasing the games to come. In the description of the trailer, THQ Nordic informs that the showcase is being hosted by Opening Night Live and the Game Awards' Jeff Keighley, who will be discussing 6 brand new games. The event is being held on September 17th at 12 p.m. Pacific Time and 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and can be streamed on YouTube, Twitch, and its publisher page on the Steam Store. It is unclear what games may be revealed, but THQ Nordic offers fans a taste of what they might be. Continuing from the trailer's description, THQ Nordic states, "Witness the return of legendary franchises and sequels to beloved games. We hope you are ready, kids. More concretely, the publisher does specify that there is going to be new information about Piranha Bytes LX2, an upcoming open-world game, as well as Expeditions, Rome. Lastly, tuning in early will allow fans to catch a glimpse of Handy Games' next project. Considering the history of games that THQ Nordic has access to because of its connection with original THQ, there's no telling what might the return of legendary franchises could mean. However, the tagline of "We hope you are ready, kids," that follows the mention of sequels seems like a pretty solid reference to the iconic SpongeBob SquarePants opening line, "Are you ready, kids?" Perhaps after 18 years, THQ Nordic will finally give fans a proper sequel, excluding the movie game, to the original Battle for Bikini Bottom, one of the greatest SpongeBob games ever made. Moving forward, we are gonna take a look at the Horizon Forbidden West pre-order. Sony and Guerrilla Games revealed 5 different versions of Horizon Forbidden West, including a Reg Ala edition, available for pre-order right now. In a new blog post, Bo de Vries, community lead at Guerrilla Games, announced 5 new versions of Horizon Forbidden West, for those who want a little bit more from the upcoming open-world action game. As pre-orders are now available worldwide, players can unlock the Nora Legacy outfit and spear to use in the game for any physical or digital version. The Digital Deluxe Edition includes access to both the PS4 and PS5 versions of the game, so for players who want both, Guerrilla recommends this option. In addition to the game, it comes with Karja Behemoth Elite and Nora Thunder Elite outfits. A Karja Behemoth shortbow and Nora Thunder sling weapons, in-game resources pack full of ammunition, potions, and more. It also offers in-game Apex Clawstrider Machine Strike piece, which is used when playing Strike, a board game inhabitants of the world play similar to Orlog in Assassin's Creed Valhalla or Gwent in The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Additionally, it comes with exclusive photo mode pose and face paint, digital art book, and soundtrack, and digital version of the Sunhawk, the first Horizon Zero Dawn graphic novel. Specifically, a board game called Strike will be part of Horizon Forbidden West, an actual part of the universe that players can learn about and play themselves. This was revealed in an FAQ about Horizon Forbidden West's collectible edition pre-order. Some of the editions will ship with physical pieces from Strike for players to collect and, apparently, digital copies of the same pieces to use in-game. Presumably these special pieces cannot be collected in-game otherwise. The game of Strike itself is not talked about in much detail. Players will learn about the game through Horizon Forbidden West story, gain their own pieces, and be able to challenge NPCs to matches. From the description, it sounds like a one-on-one game played using pieces made to resemble the mechanical monstrosities that roam Horizon Forbidden West's world. Comparisons that spring to mind include chess or the game Sivas from A Song of Ice and Fire. Another comparison could be made to Gwent, which got its own game with its own expansions. Only time will tell if Strike becomes as popular. How heavily Strike will feature in Horizon Forbidden West's story is also unknown. I hope it will be great and also something more central to parts of the main plot. It doesn't feature prominently in any of the Horizon Forbidden West trailers released so far, so there's plenty of room for speculation. Next up is the Special Edition, which includes the game as well as a mini art book, digital soundtrack, and a steelbook for physical versions of the game. This one retails for $10 more than the base version. For those who want a bit more from the game, the collector's edition comes with a large mix of digital and physical goodies. This version is limited and retails for $199.99. In addition to the full PS4 and PS5 versions of the game, players get a steelbook case, a custom sculpted tremor tusk and alloy statue, which will require some assembly. A mini art book and the entire deluxe edition content. While many games would stop there, Guerrilla and Sony have created one last version of the game for the ultimate fans. The Reg Ala edition retails for $259.99 and is again available in limited quantities. Again including a PS4 and PS5 version of the game, the Reg Ala edition offers a twist on the previous collector's edition. It includes a steelbook display case, a Regala-themed, custom-sculpted tremor tusk and alloy statue, replica focus and custom stand, 2 art print cards, replica Sunwing and Clawstrider machine physical strike pieces, mini art book, canvas map and deluxe edition contents. Those looking to purchase Horizon Forbidden West on the PS4 are able to get it through the PS4 Standard Edition, the PS4 Launch Edition, and the PS4 Special Edition. It's important to note that PS5 owners who purchase any of these editions of the game will not be able to get the PS5 version of it as a free upgrade. Instead, they'd be playing the PS4 version on their PS5 via backward compatibility. PS5 owners playing the PS4 version of the game would be losing out on features such as any of the DualSense support that's been added to Forbidden West, as well as any graphical, frame rate, or load time improvements. Similar to the PS4 editions, the PS5 version of Horizon Forbidden West is available through the PS5 Standard Edition, the PS5 Launch Edition, and the PS5 Special Edition. While this separation between generations seems pretty much in line with how cross-gen games have been handled in the past, this generation there has been a major push from console manufacturers to include free upgrades to those who've purchased their new consoles. Some fans feel like Sony wasn't being entirely truthful about the upgrade path for Horizon Forbidden West, as PS4 owners will need to purchase the game again on PS5 if they end up getting a next-gen console and want to experience the PS5 version of the title. All of this stems from a September 2020 blog post by Sony that mentions Horizon Forbidden West alongside Spider-Man Miles Morales and Sackboy: A Big Adventure as being titles that will be receiving PS4 and PS5 editions. Almost in the same breath, Sony clarified that all PS5 launch games will include a free upgrade for those who end up buying them on PS4 and transitioning to the PS5. Because Horizon was mentioned with launch titles Miles Morales and Sackboy, many feel like it was included in the list of games that would be getting a free PS5 upgrade when it launches. The only way to get both editions of Horizon Forbidden West is to either buy two copies, one for the PS4 and the other for the PS5, or to purchase one of the following editions: the Digital Deluxe Edition, the Collector's Edition, or the Regala Edition. I hope that Guerrilla fixed the upgrading path by charging $10 similar to Ghost of Tsushima PS5 version. Sony needs to be correct with their messaging and cut the cross-gen stuff as soon as they can possible. I am so pumped up for this game, and the pre-orders and the collectors and Regala editions are fantastic. Ghost of Tsushima Legends' newest game mode, Rivals, is out now, and a new trailer shows what fans can expect from it. Fans were already enraptured by Ghost of Tsushima when it released as a stunning and compelling single-player game, so Sucker Punch releasing the free Legends multiplayer mode was truly a treat. The online multiplayer mode is getting its first new game mode, a competitive mode for Legends called Rivals. While there's no direct PvP in this mode, players will still compete against each other to complete certain objectives quickly. Along the way, they can sabotage each other as well. A new trailer shows more details about how this all works. Ghost of Tsushima is mostly separate from the multiplayer Legends content, although there are a few cosmetics that carry over between the two. Players can now also purchase the Legends mode separately without buying the main game, allowing for players to experience the multiplayer gameplay without paying the full price for single-player story. Ghost of Tsushima Legends players can start playing the Rivals mode at 8 a.m. Pacific Time tomorrow, September 3rd. The caption of the tweet also reveals a few other new features that are coming alongside it, such as gear mastery, new cosmetics, and more. Details on these will likely come tomorrow with the patch that adds Rivals to the game. In the video, players get a more in-depth look at Rivals. The gameplay loop of this new mode sees players defeat enemies, collect Magatama, and then spend it on curses to hinder their opponents. Once players spend enough Magatama, 65 in the trailer, they can initiate a final stand wave. Defeat all the enemies in this wave before the opposing team to win. Regarding the curses, the trailer shows off two specifically. One allows the player to awaken a fire spirit, the Watcha Fire, that deals heavy damage in an AoE to the opposing team. Another lets players summon an Elder Shade, a powerful foe that prevents the enemy team from spending Magatama until it is defeated. There will certainly be more nuance to it than this, but it will ultimately be a test of player skill and teamwork. Fans seem to be beyond excited for the new game mode, and the free update will be available to everyone with access to Ghost of Tsushima Legends on both PS4 and PS5. I hope that Sucker Punch will introduce PvP next, into the Legends, and that's gonna be godly like Shadow Fight. Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter and more. In a live-streamed development update, EA Motive showcased a new look at the highly anticipated Dead Space remake. While there were plenty of things addressed in the stream, one of the most notable things included was an early look at what the new game will look like as well as a comparison to the original Dead Space from 2008. The footage that EA Motive showed of the new Dead Space was brief, however. It gave viewers of the stream a good look into what improvements are being made to the original game in terms of graphical fidelity and atmosphere. Based on the build that the project's senior producer Philippe Ducharme and creative director Roman Campos Oriola stressed was still very early, it looks like the game will be doing justice to the original by enhancing a lot of the visuals in a way that wasn't possible due to hardware limitations when it was first made. Based on the side-by-side comparison shown during the stream, it's clear that a lot of Dead Space's resources are being devoted to capturing the metallic, uncomfortable atmosphere of the USG Ishimura. Ducharme and Campos Oriola stressed that while EA Motive is offering its take on the Dead Space story, the studio is trying to do right by the original in that regard. The screenshot comparison that was shown captures the biggest differences between the original Dead Space and its remake. Dead Space protagonist Isaac is the first thing that players will notice. Do note that Motive says that Isaac is still being worked on. Dead Space's protagonist has been entirely rebuilt from the ground up. There's much more detail in every aspect of the engineer's armor and particularly the apparatus that displays Isaac's health. Where it gets really exciting is the visual updates made to the Dead Space environment of the Ishimura spaceship. There's rich dynamic lighting being shown, as shadows hide around every corner. That's on top of a new level of detail that's clearly focused on authentically recreating the original game's explorable spaces. Motive has obviously added its own touch, too, with industrial wires and pipes running along the walls. The biggest change, however, is the addition of smoky vapor along the floor. Considering how old the original game is, Motive could likely get away with much more dramatic changes without shaking the boat. Fans of the classic Dead Space will certainly still have their criticisms, though. Whether it's Isaac's new suit or the cloudy vapor, the new game is balancing authenticity and new ideas. How much will trudging through a layer of fog change the experience compared to stomping on empty metal? It'll depend on the player. It's worth repeating that Dead Space is pre-alpha. It still has over a year of development left. The recent teases are just glimpses at what Dead Space will become when it's finished. Motive simply wanted to provide fans an idea of what the game will look like. In that regard, Motive has delivered as promised. Another section of the stream was devoted to showing off the enhanced dismemberment features that EA Motive is adding to Dead Space. The game is known for the infamous phrase "cut off their limbs," and the remake is going all out with that concept by providing a new graphic level of detail not seen in the franchise before. Now, instead of simply blasting through the necromorph's limbs with Isaac's weapons, players will need to make sure to hit the exact same place twice to sever the limb. When hit the first time, all the flesh will tear off in a small area of the necromorph, prompting players to shoot there again to get through the bone. Ducharme and Campos Oriola also described situations where a necromorph's bones would sever without breaking the skin, where Isaac could need to use his kinesis module to tear the limb off and shoot it back at the monster. Based on the gory details shown during the look at the early build, the technology used for the enhanced dismemberments seems like it'll be a selling point for the game on its own. The Dead Space remake is looking to be a mostly faithful recreation of the original game, but it's also making some improvements. This will include the inclusion of the zero-gravity feature from Dead Space 2, as well as the restoration of some content that was cut from the original release. And now yet another big change has been confirmed for the Dead Space remake, with this one revolving around main protagonist Isaac Clarke. As Dead Space fans likely recall, Isaac Clarke was a silent protagonist in the first game, with this being changed in the sequel and Dead Space 3. The developers of the Dead Space remake have made the call to give Isaac a voice in the remake, and it's now been confirmed that Gunnar Wright, who portrayed Isaac in the other Dead Space games and in PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, will be reprising the role in the remake. While Isaac will be voiced by Gunnar Wright in the Dead Space remake, the developers are sticking to some rules to ensure that this doesn't mess too much with the game's sense of horror and isolation. During the recent Dead Space developer livestream, the two rules were outlined as Isaac will primarily only speak when spoken to, and Isaac will sometimes speak in a situation where it would feel weird if he remains silent. This should ensure that Isaac's interactions with the other people he encounters on the Ishimura ship will feel a little more authentic, and should ensure that players are even more immersed in the game than they would be otherwise. The decision to stick to these rules should also go a long way in ensuring that Isaac isn't too chatty, as that could potentially pull players out of the game. The developers have promised that Isaac will remain silent as players explore the Ishimura's dark corridors in the Dead Space remake, which should help make sure that the necromorph encounters are just as terrifying as they've always been. Besides confirming Isaac's voice actor for the Dead Space remake, the developers at EA Motive also showed off some extremely early footage to give fans an idea of what they're going for. Based on what was shown, it seems that the Dead Space remake will be a faithful recreation of the original game, but with vastly improved visuals to ensure that it can stand toe-to-toe with modern games. If the Dead Space remake performs well enough, talks of a sequel seem inevitable. However, the question then becomes what direction EA Motive is going to take the franchise. On one hand, the studio could continue remaking each game in the series following with Dead Space 2, or it could go off in an entirely new direction using the first remake as a springboard. All of that would hinge on Isaac's voice performance, and how much it adds to the overall story. If things are beat for beat the same, with the only exception being that Isaac chimes in during conversation now, it seems like the game would flow directly into the story of Dead Space 2. Either way, many fans are happy to hear from Isaac again following the cliffhanger endings of both Dead Space 3 and its DLC missions. As there was never any closure for the story, hopefully a reboot of the series will be able to address the ending, or come up with a different story. At this point it's too early to tell for sure, but the news that Isaac will be voiced bodes well for the future if there are other titles in the works following this remake. With the new version being exclusively developed for next-gen consoles, it will be able to tap into the raw power of the PS5 and Xbox Series X to help enhance what was already a great game. The PS5 in particular has a number of features that work perfectly here, and can help boost the horror theme. Firstly, the DualSense controller is great for the PlayStation brand, featuring a bunch of new bells and whistles to separate it from its DualShock predecessors. The adaptive triggers can help to simulate the pressure necessary to operate the heavy-duty weaponry in the Dead Space franchise, or the tension felt when trying to fight off a necromorph clinging onto Isaac. Furthermore, the haptic feedback is far beyond past rumble sensations in past controllers, adding a whole new level of immersion. The controller can vibrate ever so slightly to simulate a necromorph crawling in the floor below, or shake uncontrollably during a tense action scene. For an added tough, the light bar around the DualSense can be used to simulate Isaac's health meter. Having impressive graphics is only one half of the equation when crafting a great horror experience, as pitch-perfect sound design is just as crucial. Good horror is all about building anticipation in those quiet moments, so that once things get loud, it completely catches the player off guard. A great recent example of this is the baby sequence in Resident Evil Village, masterfully utilizing silence to heighten a scare when it happened. Silence doesn't always translate to no noise, as there needs to be a haunting ambience audible to the player, something which the advanced 3D audio capabilities of the PS5 can deliver. The 3D audio creates a circle around the player, with such accurate detail that players can know exactly which direction a noise came from. In this case, the slightest crash off-screen of objects falling over would be enough to cause agita, while slowly moving through the dark corridors of the Ishimura space station. The fast load times of the PS5's SSD architecture are a huge positive for not just Dead Space, but all games going forward. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart incorporated this aspect of the console directly into a gameplay mechanic, with portals instantly transporting Ratchet across entire levels, with almost no loading. In order to build suspense in the new Dead Space remake, there needs to be a constant buildup of dread and discomfort, with few obvious breaks to the pacing. In the original game, loading times were necessary to render the big environments in between different sections of exploring the Ishimura. These were masked by elevators or giant doors slowly unlocking. While these were clever workarounds for the time, they were obviously buying time for the game to catch up and load in the new assets and area. The PS5 load times can help remedy this, possibly making the entirety of the Ishimura fully explorable with no load times, ensuring the thick atmosphere constantly lingers over gamers, as well as the constant sense of danger lurking around every corner. Overall, Dead Space Remake should live up to the original, and playing it on the PlayStation 5 will be the definitive experience. We also have another PlayStation announcement, as the free PS Plus games for September 2021 are 3 games that were previously leaked. PlayStation 5 gamers can download Overcooked All You Can Eat, while those on PS4 can check out Predator Hunting Grounds and Hitman 2. Overcooked All You Can Eat is a co-op party game that collects the first 2 Overcooked games together with some enhancements, while Predator Hunting Grounds is an asymmetric multiplayer game. Hitman 2 is a stealth action game that leads directly into Hitman 3, itself just released earlier this year. Overcooked All You Can Eat is the main course meal for next-generation users in September. Channeling the couch co-op themed multiplayer antics that have made the franchise a beloved experience for so many, this cooking simulator compilation should prove to be chaotic fun for new players as well. Essentially acting as the ultimate realization of the franchise, Ghost Time Games has stuffed the all-you-can-eat package with all of the content previously found in Overcooked and Overcooked 2, whilst sprinkling in some new features on top for good measure. These include 7 brand new kitchens, 3 extra chefs, improved 4K visuals, and 60 frames per second performance. On top of all of that, the original game's content has also been remastered to better match the sequel's quality as well. Being a party-style game ensures that Overcooked All You Can Eat will likely be a recurring addiction for PS Plus subscribers long after it leaves the service's monthly rotation. Not to be confused with the PS2 title from 2002 that carries the same name, Hitman 2 is the first game on offer that's available to both PS4 and PS5 PS Plus subscribers during the month of September. Developed by IO Interactive and published by Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment, following the development team's split with franchise partner Square Enix, this stealth action shooter once again follows the story of infamous master assassin, Agent 47. Armed with an array of guns, gadgets, and household appliances, players undertake a range of assassination missions whilst completing specific objectives and challenges. Picking up the action after 2016's episodic Hitman soft reboot, the direct sequel once again sees the bald, well-dressed murderer jet off around the globe to some gorgeous sandboxes, this time in hot pursuit of the mysterious Shadow client. The fact that Hitman 2 dropped its predecessor's episodic release format helps ensure that newcomers to the series don't need to have experienced Agent 47's bloody past to appreciate the game's stealth mechanics. Owners of the original Hitman can also experience all of that game's content in an updated and improved format through Hitman 2 as well. PS5 owners will also have more bonus options available to them, provided that they own a copy of the next-generation Hitman 3. Players can import all of the maps, missions, and progress to Hitman 3, complete with exclusive features like DualSense support and improved graphical performance. The final offering in this month's PlayStation Plus update is Ilphonic's Predator Hunting Grounds. As the first title to feature the iconic extraterrestrial Yautja as a sole focus in over a decade. Being the follow-up to the studio's first breakout horror hit, Friday the 13th, the game only exacerbated anticipation further. In a lot of ways, this isometric team-based multiplayer shooter mirrors that original experience in terms of genre, concepts, and mechanics. Sadly, the comparisons don't stop there, with critical reception and overall quality being comparable between the two, ensuring that the game subsequently was unable to live up to pre-release hype. Subscribers who dive into the game will instantly notice the Friday the 13th similarities, as the game takes its team versus solo player concept and blends it with the tropical aesthetic that made the original Predator a cinema classic. In Hunting Grounds, players are shuffled into one of 2 camps as they load into a match, playing as either the titular super-powered hunter or a member of a 4-person human fire team. There's a host of different classes, perks, weapons, and loadouts for each side too, which greatly extends replayability and adds to what is admittedly an exhilarating idea. However, several technical issues ranging from floaty first-person gunplay all the way to choppy frame rates bring down the experience. Overall, the game's reception wasn't overtly positive, but that still doesn't mean there isn't a B-movie-esque charm to it that's fun to mess around in with friends. Being funded and published by Sony has also ensured that Predator Hunting Grounds has been routinely supported since its April 2020 release with monthly content drops, maps, and modes, and it even added additional DLC content yesterday. The free PS Plus games for September 2021 will be available to download beginning Tuesday, September 7th, when the PlayStation Store updates. At that point in time, the free PS Plus games for August 2021 will be cycled out, so anyone interested in those still have about a week to claim them if they want to add them to their collection. As a reminder, the free PS Plus games for August 2021 are Battle Royale game Hunter's Arena, Legends, Plants vs. Zombies, Battle for Neighborville, and Tennis World Tour 2. All three of the free PS Plus games for August 2021 were made available on PS4, with Hunter's Arena Legends also serving as the free PS5 game. This is in contrast to the free PS Plus games for September 2021, as Overcooked All You Can Eat is exclusive to PS5 players. What's interesting about the free PS Plus games for September 2021 is that they break a pattern that Sony has established when it comes to the free PS5 games. Almost every single free PS5 PS Plus game has been a brand new PS5 release, with the only exception until now being Man-Eater. Because of this pattern, many had assumed that the free PS5 PS Plus game would be Fist, Forged in Shadow Torch, as it's set to launch on September 7th when the new PS Plus games will be made available. Another theory going into the free PS Plus games for September 2021 was that Chernobylite would be one of the free games, but that theory was thrown out the window when Chernobylite's release date was delayed at the last minute to the end of the month. The more places one can play Final Fantasy, the better for the series. Over the next couple of months, PlayStation Now subscribers can look forward to playing some classic Final Fantasy titles on the streaming service. Final Fantasy is a long-running JRPG franchise developed by Square Enix, dating all the way back to the NES. The series has appeared on numerous consoles in various forms, and are more accessible than they have ever been before. Recently, Square Enix has been rolling out the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster series, updated versions of Final Fantasy 1-6. A new post on the PlayStation blog confirms that several Final Fantasy titles are coming to PS Now in the coming months. Starting on September 7th, a new Final Fantasy title will be added to PS Now each month through to January, with the first game being Final Fantasy VII. The other featured entries are as follows: Final Fantasy VIII Remastered on October 5th, Final Fantasy IX on November 2nd, Final Fantasy X and X Part 2 HD Remaster on December 7th, and Final Fantasy XII, The Zodiac Age on January 4th. PS Now added some excellent games in August, and with this new development, there will be at least one stellar title per month for the rest of the year. Surprisingly, not very many Final Fantasy titles have made their way to PS Now before these. Earlier this year, Final Fantasy XV was removed from PS Now after joining the service's library in the summer of 2020, and was the only one to appear on the service. It should also be noted that these games are all currently available for purchase straight from the PlayStation Store itself, but at varying prices. If only the Final Fantasy XIII trilogy was brought onto PS Now, then most of Final Fantasy's modern history would be playable on the PS5. But all of the Final Fantasy games are only available on PlayStation, and Final Fantasy XVI is about to follow. And that's all for the video, guys. Like and share the video for a greater audience. Comment your thoughts on the topics, and donations are always appreciated. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon, and until then, from SMPV, it's goodbye.